Up until now on our southwest coast cycle ride, we'd done pretty well sticking to the roads which most closely followed the coast. But it was at this point in the trip that we decided for the first time to cut inland. The reason for this was that with the weekend coming up, we wanted to reach a small village just outside of Falmouth to meet up with some old friends. So we're not going all that far today. I think it will be about 20 miles by the time we stop, because we're meeting up with a couple called Paddy and Annie, who I met in 2016 on the World Unicycle Tour in Kyrgyzstan, of all places.
Yeah.
And the exciting thing about them is that they were riding a tandem. At the end of 2015, Annie and Paddy quit their jobs and left their lives in London to fly out to Vietnam. They then spent the next year and a half riding west, wiggling their way back home. Theirs seemed like a truly epic trip, exploring Asia and Europe, camping in some incredible places, and sharing their unusual bike with the people they met. It was really fun that by chance we came across each other on the road from Bishkek to Balchi and got to share a few miles together. I actually don't think that I shot much video. We camped together a couple of nights, rode a couple of days together. I was on my way from Bishkek to Karakol, and I don't think I shot much video, but there are some photos, so I'll try and dig them out now and put them on the screen. But they live just outside of Falmouth, and they've invited us to stay with them. So it should be quite good fun, really. At the time, I wasn't really paying much attention to what they were riding. It was just like, oh, it's a tandem. But now, obviously, we have a bit more interest, don't we?
Sure. Yeah, we're going this way.
But before we meet them, first a brief word about this video's sponsor. Surfshark is a VPN app and browser extension that enables you to change your IP address in order to unblock websites and content that you otherwise wouldn't be able to access. It also adds an extra layer of security to help keep your passwords and personal data safe. Did you know that when you're signed into streaming services like Amazon Prime Video and Netflix, you're not actually seeing the full library of content that these services have to offer? That's because they hide what you can see and watch based on where you physically are. But by using Surfshark, you can virtually transport your device to wherever you'd like to be in the world, circumventing these sneaky geo-restrictions. For example, I recently heard about a documentary following an 11,000-mile self-supported cycle tour from Nordkapp in Norway down to Cape Town in South Africa. The film is called Cap to Cape, but when I searched for it on Netflix, it didn't come up. After a little research, I discovered that it was only available in a select few European countries. But no bother, because I quickly booted up Surfshark, changed my IP address to seem as though I was currently in Belgium, and voila, Cap to Cape appeared. It was a great watch, by the way, and Aishola and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So if you're in the market for a fast, reliable VPN, please consider Surfshark, and by using my code Ep.5, you'll receive a huge 83% off with an extra 3 months free. And if you decide, actually, this isn't for me, they offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's really no risk to trying it out today. My link is in the description below. Now back to the video. Once we arrived at their place, I was keen to see if they still had their touring tandem. They did, but it was currently a bit dismantled in their garden shed.
Where did you find all the stickers?
Oh, that's what Ed asked. Yeah, Annie bought them all beforehand. We had a good idea of countries we'd go to or we might go to.
Yeah, thank you.
So we got them all. And then some of the other stickers, like these other stickers, we also got before, and we had a party before we left, and we just said to our friends, like,
yeah, thank you.
Put them all on, stamp them on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's Orbit tandems.
Yeah, it's the one.
JD tandems.
Yes.
As Aishola and I now had an appreciation of what it was like to travel in this way, it was nice to hear about their experience of tandem touring.
How do you do your starting? Do you? Because I think other people do it where they just start together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think there's more
do.
variables going on there because you've both got to get.
So what we do is usually Ed gets his foot first.
I get on first because I find it easier. So
Yeah, definitely.
Because this top tube is very close to my height.
And you kind of like.
So I kind of lean the bike, get on, and then you get on.
And then I usually, while Ed is doing it, I say pedal up. So
I widen my legs so the pedals don't hit my shins.
And you've got the brake on, so everything is solid.
Yeah, that's it. And then Aishola does the pedals because
Pedal up.
I started doing the pedals initially. and I ended up just hitting you in the shin all the time because I couldn't see where.
Yeah, exactly. I do that. Like
That's
you're
it, yeah.
wide,
Yeah.
like, and you're over the bike,
That's
and
it.
you're sort of bracing the frame with your between your legs.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So that time I do pedal up.
Wow, the shed's the place to be.
Yeah. We're discussing
how
tandem,
we was starting.
tandem
How we
riding.
was starting.
Yeah,
actually. And then.
So you just sit on the pedals.
Yeah, I get
Yeah,
on.
you just set on. Yeah.
And then because I'm ready then to start turning the
Oh,
wheels.
funky, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're
Okay.
in balance.
And I'm in balance,
I
yeah.
guess we'll try. I guess you do that when we're stopping. You tend to just keep your feet up, and I put my feet down first.
Yeah.
But no, generally we both just stand on the ground, and then we go 3, 2, 1, and we both just push
Just
off.
start, yeah.
Okay, you ready? 3, 2, 1.
I'm not a speed freak, but like they go downhill. Like there was I think we might have got 70 kilometers an hour
Crazy.
down a hill in
Yeah.
China. Because they go downhill, and
Yeah.
anything on the flat, the tandem will just like if you're cycling with a single bike, you just sort of slowly leave them behind because you just go with this momentum.
Yeah, there you go.
But I was just so conscious of like it's going to take me
Yeah.
50 yards
If
to stop.
someone just pulls out or something, yeah.
Yeah, taking your hands off the handlebars. The tandem will not go like straight.
No.
And I did it
You did it.
quite early on. Close to do it on my own bike, and that was a no. And he was not happy because the bike went whoop, and I was, oh, shit. Like had to
Yeah.
catch it pretty quick.
Yeah, I find that
And, like-
even if I take one hand off and I'm
Yeah,
trying
you
to do
just,
something else, like trying to mess with a camera or
it
mess with
needs-
something,
needs both
it's
hands.
quite needy. Yeah.
It's heavy. Yeah.
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 And when it goes, it goes. It's a heavy beast. We
Yeah.
crashed it twice, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we ploughed it into a bank.
Yeah.
No, well, it wasn't.
Too.
It was very slow speed. It was climbing up a hill, and I think I was trying to mess around with something with one hand, and it just
Just
pulled
went,
into the
yeah.
bank and just stopped.
And I was angry. I'm sorry about it. But I kind of felt like that you did it deliberately because why? I don't know why.
That's
But I
all.
kind of
Sounds
felt-
quite
You
familiar.
get the thing is you get matching cuts. That we got matching cuts when we
Yeah.
crashed. We were in sand and we went off, and it was just me going too fast downhill.
Yeah.
And we were going quite speedily, we both crashed, and we both ended up splashed on the road, like with matching big
yeah.
cuts there.
Oh, God.
Two guys in a moped like coming behind us and like didn't like stop to say they just laughed. That's nice. Like,
Aw.
It was really lovely seeing them again, and that evening, Aishola decided to cook and teach them how to make kashani, traditional Central Asian dumplings.
Something like this, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah. And you hold it like this, and you take it one bit, and you stick it to another one, and you take this bit, and you stick it to the other one.
On the outside.
Yes.
Stick it to
Okay.
the
And then you
outside,
just
right.
stick it, and you stick it, and you stick it, and you just go. And the end bit, you kind of push it with your thumb, like this,
Mm-hmm.
and you just, continue.
Well, you're right-handed, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because the difficult bit's going to be the
Oh, right, I see what you mean.
pinchy.
And then you take it both,
Yeah.
and you push it sort of like outside to the other side. Yeah.
And then you kind of push it. Yeah?
You push it like this, and then you still keep this side.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Have you seen a pasty? Have you seen a Cornish pasty?
Yes,
Yeah.
actually.
They're like they're
Mini
like a bigger
pasties,
version. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right then.
Right, I'm in.
Concentration of a maths teacher.
I'm definitely boring a hole into this dumpling.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
And
You just stick it together. Yeah.
You found your calling, Paddy.
Yeah. Look, perfect.
you'd be a dumpling maker.
Dumpling maker.
Yeah. They look good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
They do look good.
Yeah, we need a bit of a line. We need a production line, I think.
Yeah.
We've been dealing with some pretty heavy winds over the last week, but the next day was just ridiculous. We spent the morning attempting not to lose our freshly washed clothes, playing with their cute ginger cat, and tuning up the brakes on our bike.
Cool.
Brake cables can stretch over time, especially when they're new, and especially ones as long as ours, so it was reassuring to get them tightened up, ready for the many steep descents ahead of us. Yeah, that feels much better actually. Later on in the day, Annie and Paddy took us out on a walk through a forest to an Iron Age Cornish fogu.
Oh, annoying.
It's closed off, is it?
Yeah.
Is that because of COVID?
I don't know, it looks really cool though.
The exact purpose of these man-made caves is unknown, but it's thought that they were probably used as shelters, storage chambers, or ritual shrines.
0000.
Oh,
2000. That's quite another. We could be here for a while.
Yeah, I'm giving up my...
Do you think
This is
it
my
has-
house.
Amazing though that
Yeah.
it's been here for like 2,500 years old.
This is much more impressive than the other one. we
Yeah,
saw down
it
this
is.
one.
It was lovely taking the time off the bike to catch up with them. The tales they had from their travels were inspiring, and we left the next morning motivated to keep riding and continue creating tandem touring stories of our own. With 300 miles behind us, we were now roughly halfway into our trip and fast approaching Falmouth. Once we arrived in town, we headed for the ferry port, because today's plan was to head across the estuary to St Mawes.
So that's what I would suggest. Cross the St Mawes, cross the place, cycle out to St Anthony the Head, and then just back Portsmouth there and on.
Easy peasy. Okay, yeah, we'll do that then. Yeah, 2 adults for that then, please. We were planning just to take a ferry to St Mawes, but the chap at the ticket booth was like, you know what, you're better off going to a place called Place here, and then we can cycle around, see a lighthouse down here, and then work our way up through these much quieter roads. But before we could enter the ferry, we first had to contend with these steps. The natural enemy of the tandem had returned, and with a vengeance, in the form of this extremely steep, treacherously slippery variety.
It's a good front one. I'll put you back in there.
Yeah.
We'll go down there, just a little bit easier.
Thank you very much.
That's all right.
Please keep your face mask up at all times, and if you'd like to clean your hands, those hands are down below. Thank you very much for listening. We hope you enjoy your day.
Very much.
All right,
Cheers.
have a nice cycle.
Thank you
all right?
very much.
Cheers, thank you. From St Mawes, we hopped on a second ferry to a place called Place. This boat was considerably smaller than the first. And when I say smaller, I mean absolutely tiny. Tandem bikes are downright unwieldy at the best of times, but this became particularly apparent after hitching them on and off ferries down here in Cornwall. Thankfully, all the people we'd come across so far operating these crossings have been very helpful, and our bike had made it through totally unscathed. Super, have a great day. After arriving in Place, it soon became apparent that the slipway wasn't really designed for bikes, let alone tandems.
Oh, can you walk up there?
After many journeys back and forth shifting stuff and navigating slipways and stiles,
Hey, there we are.
we could finally get moving again. So we headed south, down the Roseland Peninsula, in search of St Anthony Lighthouse. Located at the entrance of the harbour, it was built in 1835 to guide ships away from the hazardous rocks which line this particular section of coastline. It was a pretty little structure, and we parked ourselves just above it on the hill to break out some food and refuel for the road ahead. Yeah, a lot of faffing around on ferries today, wasn't it? But it's nice to be here. But it's already 3 o'clock, so I suspect that we're not really gonna.
We're done
Mate.
5 miles.
We've done about 5 miles of cycling today. That was
It's
from
Falmouth.
yeah, that was just into Falmouth, wasn't it?
From Constantine to
Yeah.
Falmouth, yeah.
And that was all downhill. So we're going to work our way north now, carrying along around the coast. But yeah, I dare say we're not really going to do many more miles today. We'll probably do a little bit, and then it'll start getting dark, and then we'll find somewhere to camp. But yeah, it was just a lot of faffing, waiting for boats, and getting that tandem onto that little boat. Mate, it stresses me out. It stresses me out. I don't want to. It's still a baby. It's still new, and I don't want to scratch it. And it's just like getting up and down steps and taking bags off, and just. Ooh.
It's a lot of stress.
Makes me realise how easy it was to kind of do that kind of stuff with the unicycle, because it was quite a compact unit, and I could sort of put it under one arm and just kind of take it anywhere with the bags still attached. But with the tandem, it's a bit more of a mission to get it places.
Yeah, it's like a big limousine.
Yeah, it is. We made good progress that afternoon, covering a further 20 miles. Whizzing past the old decaying Cornish tin mines, we arrived in a forest just outside of a golf course, which looked like it had promising wild camping potential.
Yeah.
There's a woodpecker up that tree, can you hear him? He's like occasionally just going at it. Yeah, no, it's quite nice to wake up to all the birds chirping and whatever else. Now we've got a bit of a job to get everything down, get the bags back to the path, and then get on. We're right next to a golf course as well, so I guess when golfers hit their balls into the rough, that's where we are. Even though we're like we're pretty much in the middle of St Austell. There just doesn't seem to be many people here. We thought there might be a bunch of dog walkers in the morning, but so far, none.
Good.
We'd now reached what would be our final day in Cornwall. With only 40 miles left until Plymouth, we were confident that we'd cover this distance and cross into Devon early the next morning. However, that didn't mean we were just going to put our heads down and pedal all day, because there were still some interesting places on this part of the coast that we were keen to explore.
Hi.
We arrived in the small town of Fowey and caught the ferry across the river to Boudinnock. Compared to the passenger ferry we were on previously, car ferries are definitely the way to go if you're bike touring. There's no faffing around with taking off panniers and carrying the bike down steep, slippery steps. Just push it on, across the water, push it off, job done. It's quite slippery there, isn't it? Very good. From here, we had our sights set on Polperro, a beautiful little fishing village with some curious history. Down by the sea, there was a location here that Aishola had been very excited about seeing for the past week, so we parked up the bike and went to check it out. So we just spotted this place on the map called a Willie Wilcox Cave. It's quite deep, isn't it? Willie Wilcox, what a brilliant name, was apparently a goods smuggler from the 18th century who lived in a cottage above this cave. He'd supposedly built a passageway from his home into the cave through which he could smuggle his contraband and hide it from the customs officers. How deep does it go?
Wow. Yeah.
Going. It just keeps going, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh. The legend goes that one day while hiding from the authorities down in his cave, the tide came in and he drowned, leaving his ghost to haunt it forevermore. I think that's the end, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, that was worth seeing, wasn't it?
Wow. Yeah. Oh, wow.
We didn't discover the ghost of Old Willie, or his passageway, but it was a fun story to explore, and we left Polperro happy that we'd taken the time to stop there and learn about this 300-year-old pirate. And with that, our time in Cornwall had come to a close. The end point of our journey in Poole was now less than 200 miles away, and with our shadows beginning to lengthen, we pushed onwards, towards Devon, ready to tackle our final week riding around the southwest coast on a tandem bicycle. Hey, thank you for watching. Just wanted to quickly let you know that if you are dying to see what happens next, the next episode is available right now on Patreon. I always upload these videos a week early on Patreon, so that means that episode 6 is available to watch right now, if you are so inclined. In the meantime, I'm going to read out some lovely names of the lovely people that are supporting on Patreon. So thank you very much. Alistair Duran, Almas Kennis, Brad Allen Armstrong, Brett St. Pierre, Buzz Covington, Cosmic Disaster, Craig Piper, Damon Walker, David Tobin, Elijah Legenda, Gerd Navaya, Gary Hull, Joachim Johansson, Joseph and Rebecca Chivers, Mark Paris, Michael Wolfendale, Neil Brooks, Philip Merritt, Seymour Butts, Sharon Chong, Stephen Jones, Warren Snyder, and Wolfie. A lot of names this week. It's good stuff. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.